Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on Arrow Season 6. Now just quickly before we get into the rest of the video, when this video is going up, I'll actually be leaving for about 2 or 3 days to go on a bit of a mini holiday, if you want to call it that. So my next two videos will be a setup video, which a lot of people have wanted, so that will be tomorrow's video at around the same time this one came up, and the next day after that at around the same time will be another Q&A. So expect those two videos. But there will be no news videos for current information, if that makes sense. So yeah, be on the lookout for those two videos. So some of you may remember back to around, I would say the middle of last season for all of the CW DC shows. It might have even been a little bit earlier than that. But we actually had a certain tweet sent out in reply to a question from a fan, and this was sent by Colton Haynes. I couldn't for the life of me find this tweet, unfortunately, but to sum it up, Colton Haynes, who played Roy Harper on Arrow, teased that he could possibly be back to Arrow at some point, which at that time got a decent amount of people pretty damn excited, as Roy was a pretty damn popular character. But obviously, we did not see Roy Harper return in Arrow Season 5 at any point, even approaching the finale. There was still some hope that Roy could appear at some point. I think he may have been name dropped at certain points, but there was no physical appearance. And before anyone comments it, I'm not including that weird superimposed CGI Roy from the 100th episode because, well, that was just, as I said, weird. But over the past few days, we got some more talk over Roy's possible return heating up as Colton Haynes, once again, replied to a tweet from a fan where they asked, oh my god, I seriously miss Roy so much and I need him back soon, okay? I miss seeing you in it. Upset emoji face, monkey covering eyes emoji. And this was Colton's short but very, very exciting response. Roy's coming back very soon. Now, Colton Haynes left Arrow towards the end of Season 3, and later on in an interview, just to keep it simple, he said he just needed a break from things, and that's exactly what he did. During that break, Colton did a lot with his personal life and business life as well, which is awesome to see. But of late, Colton has slowly got back into acting with smaller roles in some TV shows and movies, and is currently in American Horror Story Cult. I'm not too sure how long he will be on the season, and by that how long he will stay alive, but that was his most recent project. Due to this slow but pretty steady return to acting, it comes as no surprise that he would have been keen to return to the show and reprise his role as Roy Harper, or Arsenal. Colton also recently reprised his role on Teen Wolf, seeing it's their final season, I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't be able to tell you his character's name from that show. Only character I know from that show is Styles, so yeah, I've got no luck there. Now, ever since a certain character showed up in Arrow Season 5, a lot of people thought Roy Harper could be behind the identity, and that is Vigilante. And that theory, as you would guess, has ignited to hell since this tweet from Colton, which I can understand why people are going on about it, but I don't really see the motivation behind Roy becoming Vigilante. In my opinion, there really is none. But we will have to wait and see what happens with Vigilante in Season 6, I guess. And you never know, he could possibly be Roy, who knows. But speaking of Vigilante, Entertainment Weekly or EW.com recently got to visit the set of Arrow Season 6 and did post some little nuggets of information onto their spoiler room, which I will leave linked in the description down below. There was also some stuff on Supergirl over there as well, if anyone is interested in that as well, I guess. But this is what was said in regards to the villains of Season 6 of Arrow, including Vigilante. Each of the villains this season is basically matched to someone on the team, like Anatoly with Oliver, or Black Siren and Black Canary. And the same can be said of Vigilante. I know who he is, Stephen Amell says. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but I will tell you Vigilante is a villain, if you want to call him that, for a member of the team as well. Now, Stephen Amell did recently say something similar to this at a convention. I think it was Fan Expo somewhere in Canada. I don't know if it was Toronto or Vancouver, but it was in Canada if I remember correctly, sorry. I might be wrong there though, but just let me know. But this is what he had to say at this convention.
You know, he didn't kill Chase because that ultimately was the goal, yeah. But there's a hierarchy of importance for him. His family, his friends, the city, and if you get in the way of that and you're willing to use lethal force in our world, it will be returned in kind, which I think it's not how I like to live my life, but I think in the Arrow, in our show, that's more interesting. And then, you know, as mayor, we haven't really got into a lot of mayoral stuff. It's going well. Star City is when we, you know, I say a little bit about season 6, when we pick up Star City in and of itself is in a reasonable place. We also left it where Green Arrow was kind of public enemy #1. And the idea of vigilantes and their role within the city and whether or not the public supports them, that does also play a role. But what we're really dealing with this season is that there's kind of a villain for every character. You know, normally we have a big bad villain. This year there's kind of a villain for every character. And I say that because there's a villain for Green Arrow, but there's also a villain for Oliver Queen.
Very cool. Thank you.
So the main thing to take from that is, I guess, a reminder that Green Arrow isn't necessarily the city's like mascot at the moment, but also that almost every character on the team, at least this season, will have an opposing force, a villain, if you want to call them. So I will just quickly go through some of the main characters and who their potential villain could be in Season 6 as well. But if you do have a differing opinion or even a character and villain matchup that I completely left out, please leave it in the comments section down below because I'm interested to see what everyone has to say. So for the main star of the show, Green Arrow, you would have to think it's Richard Dragon because it would be weird if Richard Dragon wasn't the main force going up against Green Arrow. Now there could be other villains with him though. They have hinted that there's going to be a team of villains. However, by them saying team of villains, they could have been saying, okay, we have Team Arrow, which is a team of heroes, so we're just going to have a lot of different villains going up against our team in different points. So technically, it's a team of villains, but these villains won't be working together. So they could be trying to mislead us with what they said. So it might not be a team of villains that's led by Richard Dragon. Richard Dragon might just be one of the villains, and there's all these other villains in the season as well going up against our team. So for Green Arrow, it's a Richard Dragon, and I'm excited to see that matchup. As they do say in that spoiler room thing, Anatoly Karnyazev, or KG Beast from the comics, you know, Anatoly that we've seen in the flashbacks and stuff, is going to be going up against Oliver, as we saw at the end of, or towards the end of Season 5. Oliver sort of, you know, didn't get on or leave on the best note with the Bratva. Anatoly's in charge of them, so yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and how Anatoly plays into that role, because you think you have to get, you know, into some sort of powerful position, I guess, to interact with the mayor a lot. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm very interested to find out. Now with Felicity, you would have to think it's Caden James and Helix, like not just Caden James by himself, but you'd think Helix would have to be involved there. And you might even be able to tie Curtis or Mr. Terrific into this, because Felicity's was the main person that interacted with Helix, but Curtis was with her at different points. So Curtis might get tied into that as well. So it might be like a Felicity and Curtis team up to take on Caden James and Helix as well. As that spoiler room thing says as well, it's Dinah Drake vs Black Siren, which we got hints at in the Season 6 trailer. Now as we move on to Diggle, this is a hard one to go because Diggle might just not have a villain, but he could possibly be up against like Argus or another sort of organization like that, because is Diggle free? Like, is his name being cleared or is he still on the run? I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of people have theorized that it could possibly be Argus that's after him, but who knows what they're going to do with him. And now we move on to Vigilante, and I'm just putting him like singular because there actually is like a couple of possible people from Team Arrow who could be up against Vigilante. The first one is Wild Dog, just because they both use guns, and I think it'd be interesting to see what would happen with Wild Dog and, you know, Vigilante. They did like promote that Wild Dog is like being upgraded to this Season 6 main role, so maybe he's going to be taking on Vigilante and he's like the villain that he has to face, who knows. However, you could also chuck Diggle into the mix here, especially if they make Vigilante someone like Deadshot, which a lot of people have theorized, even though it's weird because in Season 5, Vigilante was terrible at shooting. So unless when we supposedly saw Deadshot die, maybe he got injured and lost his ability to shoot very well, who knows. But another theory, has been that Vigilante could possibly be Diggle's brother, Andy, even though we saw Diggle kill him, so that would be weird. And then one other person that we've gone over in my theory video for Vigilante that a lot of people think Vigilante could be is Paul, who was Curtis's ex-husband. So Vigilante could be Curtis's villain. And that, which I've said before, I hate that theory that Paul could possibly be Vigilante. It just gets me annoyed, so I'm just going to ignore I even said that. I shouldn't have even brought it up in the video, but I knew people might bring it up in the comments. But yeah, that's the list I've come up with. Let me know in the comments section down below if you have any other differing opinions there, like would Diggle be up against someone else? Would Vigilante be up against someone else and stuff like that? But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be awesome if you could leave a like on it just to show your support for the video and the channel as a whole. As I said, those 2 videos will be coming out tomorrow. They're scheduled. And I'm going to try and fit in my American Horror Story review as well. I'm hoping I can if I do have the time. But yeah, let me know all of your opinions in the comments section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.